Went for the surgery because I thought I was going to get paralysed if I didn't go for the surgery. 'Cause.
First of all, you both look fantastic. Both of you look fantastic. In particular, when you look at it closely, you're not that. The death of Ozzy Osbourne startled everyone, but nobody anticipated what transpired next. The following day, Sharon, his wife, finally spoke up and confirmed what everyone already knew. Fans are also unable to comment on it. For many years, the Osbournes withheld certain information from the public. But now that Ozzy has left, the cacophony has returned. Why now, and what did Sharon tell you? Join us as we discover the true meaning of Sharon Osbourne's forceful post-Ozzy message. Aston is having problems. Born on December 3, 1948, in Birmingham, England, John Michael Osbourne is known by many as Ozzy Osbourne. He was raised in Aston, a gritty, post-World War II industrial area of Britain. If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing content. And hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. Now, back to the topic. What we were talking about was the Osbournes, like most families, had a difficult time there. Living conditions were poor, money was few, and it was difficult to obtain employment when the city returned from World War II. Ozzy's family consisted of 6 children. His brothers were younger, and all of his aunts were older than him. They all shared a few rooms in their cramped, little home. His father, Jack Osbourne, worked lengthy night jobs at an auto plant. His mother, Lillian, spent the day at another plant. Although they put a lot of effort into providing for their family, there was never enough money. The children frequently wore items that had been donated to them by others and had very little of their own. There wasn't much privacy or space, and the house was usually busy and noisy. From an early age, Ozzy struggled in school. Why he struggled with reading and writing was unknown. At the time, dyslexia and other learning problems were not well recognized or diagnosed. He was frequently viewed by his professors as a bother or lethargic. Ozzy disliked going to school, and she was frequently teased by her friends. He later acknowledged that the incident left him feeling excluded, humiliated, and enraged. Instead of receiving assistance, he received punishment. This made him lose interest in learning. He had left school when he was 15 years old, and it was not his fault. Because Ozzy didn't attend school and there weren't many jobs in Aston, she got into problems. He started stealing, breaking into places, and doing other bad things. He once received a ticket after being caught breaking into a clothing store. For a brief period, he was confined. To his surprise, he was imprisoned. It wasn't ostentatious or thrilling. I was frightened, embarrassed, and freezing. After a while, he claimed that being locked up made it easier for him to realize how lost he had become. His father, Jack, was released from jail after paying a fee. I was awakened by that nice gesture. Ozzy gave careful consideration to the life he was leading and the one he wished to lead. He wasn't saved by employment or school. There was music. Ozzy enjoyed constantly listening to the radio. When he first heard the Beatles, everything changed for him. He was profoundly impacted by their voice and tone, particularly that of John Lennon. His dream was to become a singer. Despite having no formal training, he began singing in pubs and clubs around town, joined a few tiny bands, and searched for his voice. He believed that music provided him with a purpose in life and an escape from the harsh streets of Aston. It assisted him in escaping an uncertain future. The start of Black Sabbath. Ozzy's major breakthrough occurred in 1968 when he met Birmingham natives Tony Iommi, Geezer Butler, and Bill Ward. They both wanted to create something fresh and shared his passion for music. At first, their band was called Earth, but it didn't catch on. One day, they went to the theater and saw the horror film Black Sabbath. The fact that some people paid to be afraid gave them ideas. The band decided to create music that evoked similar feelings by being dark, heavy, and unsettling. Black Sabbath became the new name for the band. Their new sound at the time stood out from the rest. The most popular music of the time was cheerful, lively, and catchy. Black Sabbath, however, took a different tack.
I read
the music was heavy, loud, and slow. Geezer Butler's melancholic bass lines, Tony Iommi's crushing guitar riffs, and Bill Ward's hammering drumming combined to create a strong, authentic wall of sound. Ozzy's voice brought something unique. His voice was powerful and frightening. He frequently discussed frightening topics in his songs, such as violence, going insane, and the paranormal. Their distinctive and powerful sound appealed to fans. In 1970, Black Sabbath released their debut album, Black Sabbath. It was unlike anything they had ever heard. Fans adored it, but few others felt it was decent. In the fall of the same year, the band swiftly released Paranoid, their second album. After that record, everything changed. Songs like War Pigs, Iron Man, and the title tune, Paranoid, were among them. These tunes immediately became popular. They addressed a generation that had to contend with political unrest, conflict, and uncertainty about the future. The band's gloomy music resonated with young people, much like the prevailing tone of the era. Black Sabbath's music rapidly brought them international fame. Their gigs were crowded with yelling fans, and they were asked to travel all over the world. However, Ozzy was more noticeable than the band. On stage, he was highly animated. He would scream, leap, and flail his arms wildly, as if he were insane. He looked even stranger with his black clothing, long hair, and thick eye makeup. Because of his peculiar ways, deep voice, and penchant for sinister subjects, he was dubbed the Prince of Darkness. Whether they feared him or loved him, no one ignored him. People will never forget the stage persona he created. When the majority of performers were joyful and dancing, Ozzy appeared to be from another planet. He performed songs that he lived. His admirers viewed him as genuine and someone who spoke things they couldn't publicly speak, while others felt he was too dark or strange. The band's tunes served as the foundation for heavy metal music. Later, several musicians said that Black Sabbath was the band that had the biggest influence on them. However, at the time, Ozzy and his buddies were unaware that they were creating history. All they were doing was creating what they believed to be true music. But as the celebrity increased, so did the worry. Ozzy discovered over time that there were dangers associated with becoming a rock star.
I read
For Ozzy, things were simply becoming out of control. From here, things are becoming even more bizarre. Ozzy's demise. In the mid-1970s, Ozzy Osbourne was a global rock star. Black Sabbath had released several successful albums and performed all over the world. Behind the scenes, however, things were not going well. Playing night after night and traveling often made it difficult for the band to stay together. Ozzy was already struggling with his emotions and self-worth. Well, becoming famous didn't improve matters. On the contrary, it made them worse. Ozzy began abusing alcohol and drugs as a coping mechanism for the stress. It started out little but soon got out of control. He took medications, alcohol, drugs, and anything else he could find. At first, it left him feeling numb. But with time, it started to cause pain in his mind and body. He began to lose his words on stage. He was not present at the practice. It became difficult to foresee what he would do. He would be late or not show up at all. The members of the crew and the band were never sure what to anticipate from him. For the remainder of Black Sabbath, everything was going wrong, but Ozzy's issues were the most severe. They made an unsuccessful attempt to assist. Ozzy had a drug addiction and had no intention of changing. The debates continued. The band wasn't performing well. The rest of the gang had to make a difficult decision in 1979. Ozzy lost her job. It was challenging. Ozzy was Black Sabbath's original member. He was the face and voice of the band, and his constant intoxication prevented them from progressing. Ozzy had to go, according to Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi, and Bill Ward. They said he was free to leave. At first, Ozzy was taken aback. There was a depression after that. After being sacked, Ozzy spent days alone himself in a hotel room. He took more drugs than ever before and drank constantly. He ate very little. He spoke with no one. Sitting in the dark, he believed his life was finished. In subsequent interviews, Ozzy stated that he was prepared to give up. He thought everything was gone. His band, his profession, and his pals. He believed that no one would ever want to collaborate with him once more. Never in his life had he felt so depressed.
I read a quote
However,
you gave that
someone was already
you said,
considering how to
if,
assist Ozzy in
you
getting
heard-
back up. While Ozzy was going mad, someone was observing and planning. Sharon Osbourne and Ozzy had been friends for some time. Her father, Don Osbourne, had been the original leader of Black Sabbath. Sharon had been raised in the music industry. She was shrewd, tough, and accustomed to dealing with difficult artists. Despite his difficulties, Ozzy believed he still had potential. When Black Sabbath let him go, Sharon came to his aid. Ozzy may still be a musician, she said. She expressed her belief that he would perform even better without the band. She volunteered to look after him. Ozzy agreed, albeit he didn't feel hopeful at the moment. Initially serving as his manager, Sharon eventually took on many other responsibilities. Together, they started creating something new. Ozzy was advised by Sharon to form her own band. She was in charge of scheduling meetings and scheduling studio time, among other business-related tasks. She kept Ozzy from being depressed all day. Ozzy gradually began to believe in him again when she forced him to work. Many people believed that Ozzy's actions were impossible. He returned stronger than ever after being expelled from one of the biggest bands in the world. Blizzard of Oz was purchased by many people. It demonstrated that Ozzy was more than just a former member of the Black Sabbath. He was a star in his own right. Ozzy's second solo album, Diary of a Madman, was released in 1981. Once more, fans adored it. The combination of theater and heavy metal noises that made Blizzard of Oz so well-liked was retained. Once more, Randy Rhoads was crucial. He assisted Ozzy in crafting powerful, poignant, and unforgettable tunes. Behind the scenes, Ozzy and Sharon were growing closer. Their professional camaraderie evolved into a personal one. Their affection deepened as they collaborated. Sharon was not merely a companion. She encouraged and assisted Ozzy. She encouraged him to persevere through difficult times and kept him on course. It wasn't a good return for Ozzy. Life on tour was extremely hectic, and he continued to struggle with narcotics. However, he returned to making music, and it was well received. He could repeat it. He wasn't going to let this opportunity pass him by. You won't believe how many terrifying turns and twists the road ahead still had, even if Ozzy was back on top. A union of fire and rage. Prior to being well-known as a member of one of rock's most well-known couples, Ozzy Osbourne was married to someone else. In the early 1970s, they met at a bar in Birmingham. Thelma Riley taught at schools. They were married in 1971 after falling in love immediately. Ozzy adopted Elliot because Thelma already had a kid from a previous relationship. Together, they also had 2 children, Louis and Jessica. But the marriage was difficult from the beginning. Ozzy had to travel farther and spend more time away from home as Black Sabbath gained popularity. In addition, he was abusing narcotics and drinking excessively. He has admitted over time that he wasn't a good father or husband throughout this period. He missed holidays, family get-togethers, and the everyday activities that fathers engage in. He didn't assist Thelma at home and didn't spend much time with his children. As his situation worsened, he became more and more distant from his family. According to Ozzy, his first marriage was a mistake because of the way he handled it rather than because of Thelma. He explained that he wasn't there and that he frequently couldn't recall significant moments spent with them. He acknowledged that he let his children down over those years and expressed his regret at the way things turned out. The marriage ultimately ended in divorce in 1982. Ozzy married Sharon Osbourne in the same year. His partner wasn't the only thing Sharon was. They ended up being the ones who kept his life and career together. After she became his supervisor and he started out on his own, they worked closely together. Their professional friendship soon became personal. After being married, they had 3 children together: Jack, Amy, and Kelly. Sharon was fierce and intelligent. She assisted Ozzy in planning his tours, making commercial decisions, and releasing new music. Sharon supported him and did everything she could to keep things from going south as long as he was struggling with drugs. It was difficult for them to get along. It had a lot of ups and downs, was loud, and was intense. However, despite their many arguments and issues, they remained together because they loved each other so much. In 1989, their relationship took a serious turn for the worse. Ozzy lost control and attacked Sharon at their house when she was extremely intoxicated. Afterwards, he claimed he couldn't even recall what had happened.
I read a quote
In
you
a
gave
terrifying
that
rage,
you said,
he attempted to strangle her.
You heard
Sharon managed to escape and dialed 911. After being apprehended, Ozzy was accused of attempting to kill someone. It was a startling incident that may have put an end to everything. Ozzy was ordered to attend treatment after being arrested. Sharon had the option to go, but she chose to stay. She then stated that she wanted to give Ozzy another chance and that she still had faith in him. Although these incidents caused them great pain, they also signaled a sea change. Ozzy realized the severity of his issue and the fact that he was on the verge of losing everything. Through those and many other difficult times, their marriage survived. It was genuine, despite certain imperfections. The most significant individual in Ozzy's life remained Sharon. She served as his support system, his supervisor, and his wife. However, the scandal would quickly turn their private lives into a public spectacle, even as they began anew in a new relationship. When a scandal struck in 2016, Ozzy and Sharon Osbourne's decades-long marriage was on the verge of dissolution. When it was revealed that Ozzy had been having an affair with well-known hairstylist Michelle Pugh, people were startled. The affair wasn't a one-time mistake for them. According to reports, it lasted for around 4 years. Michelle Pugh later stated in interviews that she had a strong and intense connection with Ozzy. According to her, there was more to it than their appearance. She claimed that Ozzy gave her a sense of individuality and significance. Ozzy, however, claimed to have had a romance but described it in a different way. He revealed that the incident with Michelle was a component of a larger problem he had been dealing with for a long time: misuse of drugs. When Sharon discovered the affair, she was devastated. After more than 30 years of marriage, she was extremely hurt. They split up when she told Ozzy to leave their home. Sharon spoke the truth about what happened. She opened up about her hurt and rage on her afternoon talk show, The Talk. Although she had forgiven Ozzy for her previous transgressions, she claimed that this time was different, worse, and more painful. The word of the story spread swiftly. The family was the center of attention, and headlines were everywhere. Many were astonished and curious about what had transpired. Ozzy made the decision to get treatment for his issue after realizing the extent of the harm he had caused. At the time, many individuals were not really aware of what addiction was. While some applauded his decision to seek help, others didn't think he was real. After a while, Ozzy admitted that he was aware of his issue and didn't want to lose his family as a result. Ozzy's family experienced more problems as she attempted to cope with the impact on her own life. Ozzy and Sharon's daughter, Kelly Osbourne, was furious with Michelle Pugh. She claimed that Michelle was abusing her father and posted Michelle's personal phone number on Twitter. Kelly's post immediately sparked responses. In the end, Michelle filed a defamation and abuse lawsuit against Kelly. Even though the matter was eventually abandoned, it generated headlines and exacerbated an already dire situation. Despite the fact that Ozzy had been deceived and that a huge mess resulted, Sharon ultimately decided to take her back. After being apart for months to recover, the pair resumed their conversation. Ozzy declared that he would stop at nothing to mend their relationship. He went to therapy, completed recovery, and publicly apologized to Sharon and their family. He apologized to those closest to him for any hurt he may have caused. But after all that, Ozzy wasn't going to let things slow down. He still had a history of conflicts, and he would have more to come. His death was caused by drug misuse. Ozzy Osbourne's drug problem wasn't a temporary issue. He spent the majority of his life with it. Ozzy struggled with drugs and alcohol from the start of his Black Sabbath stardom. What started off as occasional parties swiftly became into a dangerous habit. Over the years, he utilized a wide range of narcotics, including alcohol, prescription medications, heroin, cocaine, and tranquilizers. He frequently used these medicines simultaneously when feeling ill, disoriented, or oblivious to his surroundings. Although Ozzy was renowned for his exuberance on stage, his drug use frequently resulted in serious issues during live performances. In the middle of a performance, he would occasionally miss his spot on stage or forget the lyrics to a song. Although his fans adored his insane appearance, he was actually collapsing behind the scenes. There were periods when he was unable to recall his actions. There were more than a few moments of perplexity. He occasionally woke up after a few days and couldn't recall who he had spoken to or where he had been. Ozzy was in rehab for a long time. Throughout his life, he has been in and out of treatment facilities, a fact he has openly discussed in interviews.
You gave that you said,
for a while, some stays were beneficial, but the addiction was severe. He frequently reverted to his old behaviors while he was on tour or under a lot of stress. Sharon and his family continued to try to help him maintain his sobriety. His buddies and bandmates also intervened when they felt he was heading in the wrong direction. Ozzy still made a lot of mistakes. Even after periods of abstinence, addiction continued to resurface. His severe drug and alcohol abuse in 1989 was one of the darkest periods. Ozzy's power was gone. While intoxicated and high, he hit Sharon in their house and attempted to strangle her. He then claimed he was astonished when he remembered what had happened and that he didn't remember it at first. Sharon escaped from her and dialed 911. After being apprehended, Ozzy was accused of attempting to kill someone. The court ordered him to go to rehab for the first time in his life. Ozzy ultimately claimed that night to be his lowest point. His remarks made him realize how dangerous he had become to those closest to him as well as to himself. They would both never forget that night, even if Sharon chose to forgive him. Ozzy feared that if he didn't make significant adjustments, he would lose everything. Ozzy's drug troubles became increasingly public in the years that followed. He discussed it in speeches, movies, and even his novels. He made no effort to conceal or justify his background. Instead, he said the truth. He battled addiction despite the fact that it nearly destroyed his family, his wife, and his career. He claimed that even as he grew older, being sober was difficult every day. Ozzy's health issues worsened while he searched for inner harmony. Saying goodbye and feeling sick. When Ozzy Osbourne broke some heartbreaking news in January 2020, many of his followers were taken aback. Before he officially revealed that he had Parkinson's disease, people had been speculating about his health for months. Although Ozzy and his family received the news in 2003, they didn't discuss it for a while. It wasn't until he had a serious fall in 2019 that necessitated surgery and other issues that the family finally told everyone the truth. Parkinson's disease is a chronic neurological condition that impairs movement and can result in twitches, stiffness, and issues with balance. For someone like Ozzy, who had performed, danced on stage, and been in the spotlight for the most of his life, it was a harsh reality. He informed them he was terrified, furious, and unhappy because of the sickness. Simple tasks became more difficult to do. His balance and endurance deteriorated. Ozzy Osbourne offered the world a final, unforgettable moment in the summer of 2025, just a few weeks before he passed away. When fans learned that Black Sabbath, the iconic band that started it all, would reunite for a last performance, they were both ecstatic and shocked. It was to be Ozzy's farewell party, a celebration of his lengthy and wild musical career. Two original band members, Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler, attended the early July performance together with family members and special guests. Ozzy's health was deteriorating, but he was determined to play one more show with the band that forever altered rock music. It was a bad show. It didn't matter that he was hardly able to move and that his voice wasn't as powerful as it once was. Many people didn't just attend the event, they applauded, sobbed, and joined in on Ozzy's final songs, which included War Pigs, Paranoid, and Iron Man. It was a significant period in the history of music. Ozzy had sacrificed everything he owned that night. He passed away quietly at home on July 22, 2025, just a few weeks later. He was 76. According to family-friendly sources, Sharon and their kids accompanied him. Bright lights and hospital beds were absent. Peace and only those who loved him the most. Ozzy's life ended peacefully and gently after years of sickness, drug misuse, and domestic issues. Shortly after his passing, Sharon Osbourne shared a message on social media. It was simple, poignant, and very personal. "My heart is broken," she wrote, expressing her feelings. Ozzy passed away peacefully, surrounded by love. He created mayhem, made us laugh, made us strong, and made music. He was everything to me for almost 40 years. He is one of a kind and cannot be replaced. Many were moved by her speech. Fans from around the globe honored Ozzy by sharing their favorite songs, memories, and anecdotes about how her music impacted their lives. Sharon supports the facts. As Ozzy's condition worsened, he and Sharon began to consider their future, particularly the possibility that he would require full-time care or develop mental illness. During an interview, Sharon said that she and Ozzy had signed documents in Switzerland that permitted someone to assist them in ending their lives, a practice known as euthanasia. Many were astonished, but the pair explained that it was about respect and control, not about giving up. Sharon claimed that witnessing her father's battle with Alzheimer's altered her perspective on aging and illness. Her father, music manager Don Arden, suffered from a debilitating mental illness in his latter years. She claimed that not only him but the entire family was deeply distressed by such memories. That was not how she wanted her children to feel. Together, Ozzy and Sharon made a decision. They wanted to have a plan in place in case their physical or mental health ever deteriorated to the point that they were unable to care for themselves or recognize their friends or relatives. They decided to sign assisted death documents in order to control the future. It was made apparent that there was yet hope. It has to do with love. They didn't want their children to experience the agony of witnessing their slow demise. The Osbourne children, Jack, Amy, and Kelly, supported the decision. Since they understood the reasoning behind their parents' decision, they avoided conflict. The signing of the documents actually made the entire family feel better, according to Sharon. The anxiety over what might happen in the future subsided to some extent. Everyone was aware that Ozzy and Sharon had carefully considered their options and that their decision was founded on compassion and consideration. Ozzy's childhood companion passed away. For those who grew up with Elvis, it marked the end of an era in rock music. In addition to singing, he performed other acts. He was a symbol of honesty, survival, and defiance. He was honest about himself at all times. He acknowledged that he was mistaken and continued. People realized that despite your flaws, you could still change the world. The woman who had supported him during it all finally told him the truth. That final word strengthened Sharon's voice, which was always powerful. It was both sorrowful and full of love. Ozzy was described to everyone as more than just a rock star. He never gave up because he liked being a father and a husband. If you enjoyed this film, kindly click the bell, like, and subscribe. You won't miss another tale of a world-changing music icon that way.